The world of storytelling is a delicate architecture constructed not only by the grand sweeping gestures of primary heroes, but by the subtle, indelible shadows cast by those who operate within the margins. Every great narrative requires an anchor, a force so potent and enigmatic that its mere presence shifts the gravity of the screen. For years, audiences worldwide have found themselves captivated by these secondary architectures, the intricate webs woven by performers who do not merely deliver lines, but inhabit entire universes with a quiet, menacing authority. In the modern golden age of serialized television, where comic book lore transitioned from the vibrant pages of print to the gritty, grounded realities of prestige drama, few figures commanded this space with as much effortless mystique as the legendary Madame Gao. She was a character defined by what she withheld, an ancient, untouchable force operating in the dark underbelly of a cinematic metropolis, leaving viewers consistently spellbound and desperate to uncover the true depth of the mind behind the performance. As we embark on this multi-part exploration into a legacy that redefined standard archetypes, we invite you to take a moment to subscribe to our channel and join our community, ensuring you never miss the deep cinematic journeys and tributes we bring to life. To understand the impact of such an extraordinary creative force, one must first look at the landscape she helped shape, a television era that demanded a rare blend of classical training and modern intensity, qualities that this remarkable artist possessed in abundance. The cinematic universe felt a profound tremor recently, a quiet ripple of sorrow that spread rapidly from the tight-knit community of New York character actors to millions of dedicated fans across the globe. As news began to filter through that Wai Ching Ho, the brilliant and irreplaceable actress who breathed life into this iconic villain, had passed away at the age of 82. The brilliance of a true character actor lies in their ability to become an indispensable fixture of our cultural consciousness while maintaining a deeply dignified, almost mystical privacy in their personal lives. For decades, the performing arts have been enriched by individuals who view the craft not as a pursuit of fleeting celebrity, but as a sacred, lifelong calling to be executed with precision, grace, and an unwavering commitment to authenticity. Wai Ching Ho was the very embodiment of this philosophy, an artist whose career spanned multiple mediums, from the demanding, immediate boards of experimental theater to the massive, multi-million-dollar sets of global blockbusters. Yet, despite her formidable screen presence and the chilling authority she could summon with a single, unblinking gaze, those who shared her space spoke of a woman characterized by an overwhelming warmth, a sharp intellectual curiosity, and a deep, abiding kindness that stood in stark contrast to the ruthless figures she so masterfully portrayed. Her journey was one of quiet resilience and artistic triumph, a testament to the power of dedication in an industry that too often overlooks the profound contributions of seasoned veterans. The announcement of her passing did not come through a cold corporate press release, but through the raw, heartfelt lamentations of her peers, the fellow artists who had stood opposite her in the trenches of production. Learning from her wisdom and basking in the generous spirit she brought to every single rehearsal and take, it was during a quiet weekend that the first signs of this collective grief began to surface publicly, transforming the digital landscape into a space of solemn remembrance and shared reverence. Peter Shinkota, an accomplished actor who shared an intense, complex dynamic with her on screen as the recurring adversary Nobu Yoshioka, broke the silence with a poignant, reflective tribute that immediately captured the hearts of the entertainment community. Writing via his social media, he shared a pensive, deeply personal photograph of himself, accompanied by words that spoke to a profound sense of personal loss, noting that he had just lost someone incredibly special to him, describing her simply and affectionately as one of the coolest individuals he had ever had the privilege to know. His public reflection was not merely a standard professional condolence, but a window into a genuine, deeply rooted friendship that had been forged in the high-pressure environment of a groundbreaking television series. Shinkota followed this initial thought, with subsequent posts featuring striking images of the actress in her definitive role, declaring with absolute certainty that he would never forget her, and revealing that every single minute spent with her, both on and off the set, had been a masterclass in the art of acting and the wisdom of living. He spoke of hanging on her every word, acknowledging her profound intellect, and closed his tribute with a beautiful, hopeful promise of a future reunion, signaling to the world that the bond they shared transcended the temporary confines of a television production. As these initial expressions of grief began to circulate, the broader significance of her departure started to crystallize for the public. revealing the immense network of respect she had cultivated across different generations of storytellers. The atmosphere surrounding the news was one of heavy, respectful contemplation, as fans and colleagues alike began to realize the magnitude of the void left behind by her absence. Shortly after Shinkoda's touching tribute, another prominent voice from the artistic community stepped forward to offer a deeply personal perspective on her life and final days. Perry Young, a veteran actor who had experienced the distinct honor of playing her husband in the acclaimed independent film High Resolution, shared a profoundly emotional message that provided crucial context to the sudden loss, confirming that the beloved actress had passed away peacefully following a medical emergency, specifically a stroke, just 2 days prior to the public announcements. Young's words painted a vivid, beautiful picture of a woman who was not just a titan on the screen, but a vibrant, active pillar of the independent arts community, recalling the countless times he had watched her command the theatrical stage, the many casual dim-sum lunches they had shared over the years, and her unwavering, enthusiastic support for avant-garde performance groups. His tribute emphasized that she was a kind, deeply compassionate human being whose unparalleled work ethic lifted every single production she touched to a vastly higher standard, leaving an indelible mark on everyone fortunate enough to cross her path. This opening chapter of our tribute sets the stage for a much deeper exploration into how a daughter of Hong Kong moved across the world to become one of the most respected and quietly influential figures in American media, breaking barriers during an era when opportunities for Asian performers were severely limited and narrowly defined. The initial wave of reactions from the global community underscored a universal truth, which is that true talent requires no grand introduction or aggressive self-promotion. It speaks directly to the soul of the audience through the work itself. As fans flooded the digital spaces with their own memories of her most haunting performances, it became abundantly clear that her portrayal of Madame Gao was not merely a successful acting gig, but a cultural phenomenon that had permanently etched itself into the annals of modern mythology. In the segments that follow, we will dive deep into the specific mechanics of her legendary performances, examine the hidden histories of the projects that defined her later years, and uncover the extraordinary, inspiring journey of a woman who proved that true artistic peak has no age limit and that the quietest voice in the room can often be the most powerful. The true measure of an actor's genius often reveals itself in their ability to command an entire narrative architecture through the sheer economy of movement and speech, a rare quality that defined the second great wave of this extraordinary performer's career. When the Marvel Cinematic Universe expanded its borders into the darker, more unforgiving streets of televised streaming dramas, it required a completely new breed of antagonist, figures who were grounded not in cosmic fantasy, but in the gritty, corrupt realities of urban power dynamics. It was within this specific creative landscape that Wai Ching Ho achieved global recognition, stepping into a role that would instantly become a benchmark for modern screen villainy. As the mysterious and formidable Madame Gao, she did not rely on the loud, explosive histrionics that characterize so many contemporary cinematic antagonists. Instead, she chose the path of absolute stillness, deliberate pacing, and an underlying current of ancient authority that made her infinitely more terrifying than any conventional threat. Her character first emerged in the critically acclaimed series Daredevil, introduced as a seemingly frail, elderly woman overseeing a massive, highly sophisticated illicit trade network, an illusion that shattered the moment she spoke or moved with a calculated, lethal precision that left both the protagonists and the audience completely off balance. Her creative partnership on set with Peter Shinkoda, who masterfully portrayed the fierce and traditional warrior Nobu Yoshioka, became one of the absolute creative high points of the series, creating a captivating dynamic rooted in mutual respect and intense narrative tension. Together, they represented the two distinct, lethal factions of a shadowy global conspiracy known as the Hand, an ancient and mystical organization vying for absolute control over the city's concrete canyons. On screen, their interactions were a masterclass in nonverbal storytelling, where a subtle nod from Ho or a rigid posture from Shinkoda communicated decades of shared history, political maneuvering, and hidden agendas without the need for extensive exposition. Off-screen, however, this intense professional rivalry dissolved into a profound mentorship that Shinkoda would later credit as one of the most transformative experiences of his artistic journey. He frequently recalled how he would actively study her preparation, watching in absolute awe as she effortlessly transitioned from a warm, smiling colleague sharing stories between takes into a cold, completely unflappable criminal mastermind the very microsecond the director called for action. This remarkable ability to instantly tap into such a deep reservoir of psychological darkness, while remaining entirely untouched by it personally, spoke volumes about her immense technical mastery and her profound understanding of the human condition. The narrative impact of her character was so monumental that the architects of the franchise realized she could not be contained within a single storyline, leading to her prominent inclusion in subsequent high-profile expansions including Iron Fist and the ultimate crossover event, The Defenders. In each iteration, she elevated the material, providing a crucial grounding link between disparate narrative threads and challenging a diverse array of heroes with her unmatched tactical intellect and deceptive physical prowess. In Iron Fist, audiences were treated to a deeper exploration of her character's mystical origins, watching as she engaged in complex psychological warfare with the titular hero, proving that her ultimate power lay not in physical combat, but in her terrifying capacity to perceive and exploit the deepest emotional vulnerabilities of her enemies. By the time she joined forces with a cabal of ancient leaders in the Defenders, standing alongside Hollywood royalty like Sigourney Weaver, she anchored the grand, apocalyptic stakes of the plot with her signature, chilling composure. Her performance across these interconnected series earned her a legendary status among the global fanbase, who recognized that her contribution was vital in transforming what could have been a standard comic book adaptation into a deeply atmospheric, emotionally resonant epic that explored the dark complexities of power, immortality, and moral ambiguity beyond the massive, high-pressure arena of streaming blockbusters. She continued to demonstrate her staggering artistic range by contributing her unique vocal talents to the visionary world of feature animation, most notably in Pixar's critically acclaimed masterpiece Turning Red. In this vibrant, deeply emotional exploration of generational dynamics, family loyalty, and the complex process of coming of age within a traditional Chinese-Canadian household, she lent her voice to the character of Grandma Wu, the formidable, fiercely traditional matriarch of the family. The transition from the terrifying, shadow-dwelling Madame Gao to a stern but deeply loving grandmother showcased the incredible breadth of her vocal instrument, allowing her to infuse the animated character with an unmistakable sense of dignity, historical weight, and an underlying fierce protectiveness that resonated deeply with audiences of all ages. Grandma Wu was a character who carried the heavy mantle of ancestral tradition, arriving with a commanding presence to guide the younger generations through a profound supernatural crisis. Yet Ho's performance ensured that beneath the strict, unyielding exterior lay a profound well of familial love and cultural pride. This role introduced her immense talents to a completely new, younger generation of viewers, further cementing her status as an exceptionally versatile artist capable of moving seamlessly between the gritty depths of adult drama and the heartwarming, universal stories of family cinema. This incredible versatility was further evidenced by her frequent, memorable guest appearances across some of the most prominent and varied titles in modern television history, proving that she was a highly sought-after collaborator for showrunners seeking to add immediate gravitas and authenticity to their projects. She brought her distinct, commanding energy to the hit mystery comedy series Only Murders in the Building, navigating its sharp, satirical tone with the same absolute precision she applied to her dramatic roles, and delighted audiences with her appearances in the sharp, culturally resonant comedy series Awkwafina is Nora from Queens, where she embraced a completely different, contemporary comedic rhythm. Furthermore, her dramatic roots remain strong through compelling performances in long-running procedural institutions like Law and Order, where she brought a nuanced, deeply affecting humanity to complex legal and social narratives. Each of these diverse appearances, though sometimes brief in terms of screen time, left a lasting impression on viewers and critics alike, because she approached every single character, regardless of the genre or the size of the role, with the exact same level of profound respect, rigorous preparation, and artistic integrity, demonstrating an unwavering commitment to the absolute highest standards of her beloved craft. The true legacy of an artist who commands the screen for over half a century is found not merely in the final frames of their most famous projects, but in the enduring pathways they cleared for those who would follow in their footsteps. To fully comprehend the monumental significance of a journey like the one undertaken by this extraordinary performer, one must look far past the modern flash of digital streaming platforms and international blockbusters. Deep into the foundational history of an artist, who redefined representation by simply refusing to be anything less than excellent. Born in the vibrant cultural crucible of Hong Kong in the early 1940s, she carried a deep innate understanding of classical storytelling and dramatic structure when she eventually chose to build her artistic life in the highly competitive, frequently unforgiving creative ecosystem of the United States. Throughout the mid to late 20th century, the landscape for Asian performers in Western media was notorious for its structural limitations, offering roles that were all too often defined by narrow, reductive cultural tropes. Yet, with a fierce intellectual determination and an unshakable belief in the dignity of her craft, she navigated these turbulent waters by committing herself fully to the immediate, demanding world of experimental and independent theater, transforming every stage she walked upon into a space of profound cultural truth and artistic reinvention. It was during these early, formative decades in New York City that she quietly established herself as a foundational pillar of the independent art scene, becoming an active, indispensable mentor to generations of emerging directors, playwrights, and fellow actors who were desperate to see their authentic lived experiences reflected in American art. Long before global audiences knew her as a terrifying comic book antagonist or a commanding animated matriarch, she was spending her afternoons in community spaces, sharing traditional dim sum with young creators, and lending her immense credibility to avant-garde theater collectives that challenged the mainstream status quo. Her long-term collaboration with independent filmmakers, such as her deeply moving performance opposite veteran actor Perry Young and director Justin Chan in the critically acclaimed feature High Resolution, served as a powerful testament to her lifelong devotion to stories that captured the raw, complicated realities of the immigrant experience and cross-generational conflict. Young's emotional recollection of her constant presence at experimental performances underscored a profound truth, which is that her devotion to art was entirely pure, untouched by the pursuit of fame or commercial validation, driven solely by a deep, compassionate desire to uplift the human condition through creative expression. The profound global reaction to her sudden departure served as a powerful reminder of how deeply her work had penetrated the collective cultural consciousness, uniting diverse generations of storytellers and audiences in a shared moment of solemn remembrance. In the hours following the initial public confirmations, digital forums, fan communities, and industry publications were completely inundated with an outpouring of love and reverence that transcended standard Hollywood obituaries. Thousands of viewers from across the planet took to social media to share specific clips of her performances, marveling at how a woman of modest physical stature could effortlessly dominate giant screen spaces, commanding roomfuls of powerful characters with nothing more than a whispered line delivery or a chillingly deliberate tilt of her chin. Fans repeatedly described her iconic portrayal of the ancient underworld leader as an absolute masterclass in haunting psychological tension, emphasizing that she brought a mythic, Shakespearean gravity to a comic book universe, transforming what could have been a fleeting seasonal adversary into an immortal, legendary figure of modern cinematic history. These public tributes made it abundantly clear that her audience did not merely watch her, they respected her, recognizing the immense lifetime of preparation, discipline, and absolute soul that she poured into every single character she brought to life. As the final curtain falls on this extraordinary earthly journey, the artistic community is left with both a profound sense of sorrow and an overwhelming feeling of deep, enduring gratitude for a life so beautifully and purposefully lived. While the loss of such a brilliant, compassionate, and inherently wise human being leaves an undeniable void on our screens, and in the intimate theater spaces she loved so dearly, her influence remains completely indestructible, woven tightly into the very fabric of the modern entertainment landscape. She proved with absolute certainty that true artistic triumph is not bound by the arbitrary constraints of age, gender, or cultural origin, showing the world that a dedicated character actor can possess the heart of a true titan. Her journey stands as a permanent, glowing beacon of inspiration for every young performer stepping onto a stage for the first time, a brilliant reminder that true greatness lies in the quiet mastery of the craft, the generous mentorship of one's peers, and the unwavering commitment to artistic excellence. The worlds she helped create will continue to captivate, terrify, and inspire millions of viewers for generations to come, ensuring that while the beautiful spirit of this legendary artist has transitioned into peace, her light will forever illuminate the shadows of our cinematic imagination.